Enjoy the video and welcome to Gamer Cream. Welcome my creamsicles, I know why you're here. You're looking for that latest hit about farming stimulators. Do you want that good stuff? A little sniff of cow shite, sir? A sprinkling of working under a blistering hot 60-degree sun? Or maybe you're the special type of sicko that likes to imagine getting to know these animals intimately, witnessing their journey from birth to adulthood, forming a bond as you no longer care for them, only to face the difficult decision of when they no longer serve the purpose of what they were raised for. In the end, you find yourself grappling with the personal choice of saying goodbye and, in a way, consuming part of the life you've nurtured. Oh, you don't want any of that? Then I have the game for you! You'll want this jobless feel-good farming simulator game then. Welcome to what might be just the pinnacle of your day. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and you'll probably question your life choices, just like I did when I decided to summarise this entire saga of virtual agriculture and the adrenaline-fueled world of farming simulators. So grab your pitchforks of skepticism and let's sarcastically sow the seeds of knowledge together. We're gonna quickly saunter through how these games first popped up, took a nap for a little while, and then suddenly woke up again, all thanks to one game that decided farming was cool again. Let me open up my creamy compendium to regale of a tale that has become stale with saturation and a totally fucked reputation. N. How Stardew Valley trampled the farming genre. We start the journey with a question. Grand Theft Auto, Need for Speed Underground, Duke Nukem 64, what are the ideas that jump out at you? How slow Mondays can be, right? Maybe that spreadsheet your boss wanted to be done at the end of the week, or after your 10th promotion, how your life is going nowhere. We've had too many of those types of excruciatingly slow, boring games that just remind you of how incredibly mundane and sparse metropolitan cities are. Don't you just wish for the fast-paced action extravaganza of the countryside, where everyone can pick out each other's sister out of a crowd of 17 inhabitants, and everyone is packing 16th century muskets? One man thought the same and sought out to excite a different type of audience with his own homebrew brand of salacious, dirty countryside dealings, and that back alley gambler was Yasuhiro Wada. Look at this man, he is the face of someone that has 20 years of peaceful and non-violent video games drilled into him. Even the Lord cannot save this man's soul. I remember reading a study done about violent video games causing a decrease in crime and violence in Japanese youths. I'm just saying because this man looks like he's trying to start something. Who even is Yasuhiro Wada? Wada started his life in the Japanese countryside in Kyushu, Japan. Growing up, Wada just couldn't handle the full throttle life of his small rural countryside and found himself being pulled to the humdrum life of the megapolis, Tokyo! After university ended for him, Wada packed his things and headed to Tokyo and started working at a company called Pac-In Video. Wada slowly realised that his city life was just not on the cards for him. In an interview, Wada described his time in Tokyo as, and I'm gonna ad-lib this because this is in Japanese and my Japanese is superb, your ears just aren't finely tuned for it. And I ran it through Google Translate at least 20 times to English, then to Japanese, then back to English, and so forth. I hear that refines and purifies the quote like a Japanese katana. And he said, I hate this and I want to go back home. Thank you for the insight, Wada. I want to go back to nature. Hey. This boredom and longing for the exciting poo-riddled sister-fondling country life gave birth to an idea inside of Wada. What if I made a poo-riddled sister-fondling country life game that takes all the ideas of actual farming, of friendly communing with your neighbours, that you know on a first name basis, having a selection of only 5 people that I potentially have relationships with, and maybe potential eventuality that one blighted crop season could wipe out my entire family and leave us destitute, begging and relying on those same neighbours for support, but only to be left astray and hopeless? Jesus, Wada! That's pretty not cool. Just keep the game light-hearted, like taking care of cattle, interacting with your neighbours, and being self-sufficient and all of that. You know, the key concepts of farming. Wow, you're right, Gamer Cream. Thanks for that. You always have the best ideas and videos. I think I'll like and subscribe because that's what smart, handsome people do, right? Wada, you sly dog, of course it is. And anyone who doesn't is clearly a communist or a fascist. So, for the next part, I'm going to quickly summarise it because we aren't here for Harvest Moon or any other of the Stardew clones. Eventually, after 2 to 3 years of wage cucking for pack-in video, Wada pitched his idea and got the green light. Wada finally got the chance to make his dream game. After all the incredible hurdles, managed to start the development of Bokujo Monogatari. Bokujo Monogatari, which interestingly enough translates to Ranch Story. Things were looking up for Wada. He was given a small budget and an even smaller team to create Bokujo Monogatari. His own team consisted of around 10 people. The only people worth noting of this team is Setsuko Miyakiyoshi and Tomomi Yamatate. What a wonderful thing. Both of which he continued to work with for a very long time. Their three main pillars of their game design was husbandry, relationships, and you guessed it, winking at your own cousins. I won't stop making these types of jokes, but the last one was farming. Of course it was. Another reason why Wada dreamed of making this game was because he was tired of games that included violence and drugs and just games that seemed to permeate the entire video game scene. The types of games that I think that would get Wada wired was games like SimCity, maybe Myst and King's Quest, if they ever got it over there. And Super 3D Noah's Ark! I spent some time on this game as a child. I'm gonna give you some tips. Whoa, save their souls, repent, repent. Whoa, avoid Pontius Pilate DLC. How did he even get on the Ark? Oh no, Gainus has subverted my Ark of all same-sex animals. I have to switch with builds halfway to run the Absolve and Absolution build to finish this level instead. Personally, I like to run a build min-maxing a tuning with the Jesuit priests, specking a little into the burning bush so that you can get a +2 modifier on cleaning your disciples' feet. The team worked on the game for only a couple of months to come to the eventuality that it was just crap. The more stuff that they added to the game, the more the game bloated, and it ultimately just became unplayable. The game began stuttering and just losing its identity. Eventually, they just had to reload a save or a build from a much older version of the game, so basically meaning that months of work were just down the gutter. But then, shortly after that, bloating just wasn't a problem for the team, because their company went under. Another company gobbled them up after the bust, and Bokujo team asked to continue to work on Bokujo for them. But the new company gave them even less money, and then they took 7 people away from their 10-man team. I think whoever asked for that had like speech 0. The only 3 people left was the ones that I mentioned: Wada, Setsuko Miyakoshi, and Tomomi Yamatate. A couple of months after that, the game was released in 1996 for the SNES. Problem was, the N64 just came out, so there was even less eyes on the SNES, and subsequently they saw just a little over 20,000 copies sold, but it did rise to 100,000 in a couple of months after. But the numbers don't really matter, because the higher-ups thought,
Este juego ha traído un gran honor a nuestra nación. El gran emperador Hirohito ha bendecido este juego. Debemos extender nuestra influencia sobre los continentes gordos del mundo, América y Europa. Desplegaremos nuestra arma secreta que tiene una fecha de caducidad que puede resultar contraproducente en unos años y dejarnos crear nuestra propia versión de nuestro propio juego. Now this is when us fat continentals would get to enjoy the game. Not under Bokujo, but Harvest Moon. Victor Software would work with Natsume to localize Bokujo to the west. This move also managed to lock in a bunch of sick, like-minded individuals in more regions. After seeing this, the higher-ups in Victor Software thought they could actually be onto something, and thought we should really explore this venture out because it may actually prove to be fruitful. They gave Wada a chance to make 3 more Harvest Moon games on the Game Boy, the Game Boy Color, and the one for the N64, and a bunch of new staff. Then with the releases of the PlayStation, you bet they were going to release some Harvest Moon on that.
4 Harvest Moons? What the hell? One interesting tidbit, each team developed the game sort of in a black box. Not a literal one, but they were allowed to do whatever they wanted in their game. So that means in each of the Harvest Moon titles, the characters, their personalities, the dialogue inside of the game, everything could be completely different. For instance, Barley could be a sweet old man who wants to help the player in the N64 version, but in the PS1 version, he might be shivving the residents of Mineral Town in the dusk of night, like my granddad would do. Guts could be not a representation of a struggling anime character with the same name who struggles with life and his family dying and lives with Lewis. But ultimately, they all felt kind of unique and managed to spread a nice Harvest Moon shaped net around the gaming world. This would be the only time that Harvest Moon or Bokujo would ever reach the heights of success again. In a dramatic turn of events, the creators of Japanese Bokujo, Victor Software, found themselves swept in the orbit of Marvelous Inc. Buckle up, for the story takes a wild ride from here that will leave you on the edge of your seat. Marvelous Inc. is the original creators of Bokujo, and I should also mention that they're also responsible for Rune Factory, just another great jobless feel-good game. Eventually, WADA, having shifted positions within Marvelous Inc., including just stints as the president and the CCO, decided to stage his grand exit. The spark for Bokujo just had flickered out of him, and with a hunger for new adventures, he joined forces with the visionary Suda51 at the Grasshopper manufacturer. But not content with just dancing to someone else's tune, WADA founded his very own company under the whimsically enigmatic banner of Toybox. This is where WADA's story ends. As you can see from this list of titles with Toybox, WADA was once a trailblazing pioneer in the realm of jobless feel-good games. But sadly, WADA faded into obscurity as the new competitors emerged and the stagnation of no new innovations in his games, leaving his groundbreaking contributions overshadowed by the relentless march of progress in the space of gaming. His mark has been left on the pages of gaming history, and now it's time to close the book on his story for now and freshly dip our ink on a new story of what is to come. But this is where Natsume, the localization company for... this is gonna be confusing. Let's make a segment! So, an explanation of what we have right now. Bokujo Monogatari is the original Harvest Moon. But it's not Harvest Moon. Faker! It's Bokujo Monogatari. And it's made by Victor Software, but since it's 2003, it's now Marvelous Inc., who also makes Rune Factory. Harvest Moon is a localization of Bokujo Monogatari, which was made by Natsume, but since 2012, Natsume now wants to start making their own Harvest Moon games under Harvest Moon, but that means it's not Harvest Moon, but fake Harvest Moon. So that means that Bokujo can't call itself Harvest Moon anymore, but it's the original series, and Natsume has now messed up the precious timeline. And now, to cause further frustration, the original Harvest Moon is called Story of Seasons, and Harvest Moon is no longer called Harvest Moon, it's now been swallowed and defecated on, and then swallowed again by Natsume. The original company is solely responsible for changing the language for the original game.
It doesn't even make any sense! I'm the eldest boy! I am the eldest boy!
Both companies are now subsequently releasing farming simulators as competitors, but now Harvest Moon is getting offer releases by Natsume, and the original is now something completely different, but where does this put Animal Crossing? Nowhere, because it's not made by either, and that means if you really look between the lines, you could eventually make it the Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball series is not in fact extreme or a game dedicated to following the farm simulating gaming genre. I'm getting off point, but you get what I mean. But where does it leave us? With a nice wholesome blend of confusion and opening the barn gate to a whole barrage of mediocre farm scam games, and the genre gets absolutely shot down because of the dilution of just homogenized DS games and Facebook carrying games.
Guys, I gotta be honest with you. I don't know how this got here.
In a genre spiraling towards oblivion, companies were desperately hurling lackluster ideas into the fray. Each new concept was a gamble, a last-ditch effort to just rekindle a diminishing spark. From bizarre city settings to terraforming mechanics, it just felt like the innovations were a comedy sketch written by an opium-stricken avant-garde artist. Harvest Moon laid the groundwork, but a new game cultivated a new era. We didn't ask for all this confusion, or this gaming swamp that we've been placed in, but rising out of that swamp That's when one smelly uni student who couldn't afford any deodorant, equipped with no experience to land an actual real job, cunningly decided to tap into everyone's yearning for the good old days, releasing images and teasing us with this new thing he was working on, offering us a quick, free sample, hooking us up and tempting us with an IV filled to the brim with a nostalgia-inducing elixir, while simultaneously working on and clutching onto the antidote to alleviate the symptoms of our own collective longing for the past. The enigmatic leader of a faceless cabal, orchestrating and creating the seemingly paradoxical game, both cute and heartwarming, yet disturbingly twisted and devoid of any conventional employment themes. Eric! Hello. This guy right here is Eric Barone, or Barone. You probably know him better as Concerned Ape. Before emerging as the renowned artist we recognise today, Barone's creative journey began in his late adolescence. He was one half of an avant-garde electronic pop duo known as the 17 Colourful Feathers. Their sound was kind of like an eclectic blend of resonating the vibrancy of like youth and the experimental zeal of the electronic genre. In a unique fusion of music and interactive storytelling, Barone also ventured into the realm of game development. He crafted simplistic yet engaging choose-your-own-adventure games, seamlessly integrating them with the band's album releases. Among these creations was the 17CF Quest, a game that drew inspiration from the classic adventure titles like Curse of the Monkey Island. This endeavour was more than just a mere diversion, it was a testament to Barone's multifaceted creativity, blending narrative and music in a way that was both innovative and enchanting. Early on, Eric just had a penchant for creating things. Growing up, Eric would spend countless hours on Harvest Moon, and it's been quoted that Eric said, "Hey, it's good stuff." As a destitute post-university student, raiding bins for foods and scraps in the dark of the night, begging and dreaming to become a wage cock, wrapping a belt of nostalgia and hitting up syringes with second-rate farming simulators that just weren't the good stuff. Reflecting on his current situation of coming fresh out of university with no experience or portfolio, Eric began on a small project deeply rooted in his passion for game development, music production, art, and simply his love for Harvest Moon, but also to get his name out there as a game developer, programmer, and so companies would stop shutting the door on him. In 2012, at age 24, Eric began his pet project. Yeah, look at you, 26 years old, and Eric is out here releasing 11 music albums, making games, and you haven't done anything with your life, validating your redundant opinions on the videos of top 10 lists of anime feat. Your ancestors would be rolling in their graves. Yes, you're too old to start anything of real value. Your name will never be remembered, and you're too ugly to make anybody care. You may as well just become a fucking YouTuber. Irked by the massive decline and eventual substantial garbage that was being produced by the said companies we spoke about at the start of the video, like farming games were just so crap at this time. Most of the farming games were relegated to like the DS. We had all of the Harvest Moon shovelware stuff, Star Wars Masters of Terrascasi, Calvin Trucker's Redneck Farm Animal Racing Tournament, My Exotic Farm. Ugh. I think if you place the word exotic in anything, it just gives the ick factor. Like, just imagine a normal table, but if you say it's an exotic table, it just becomes seedy. Eric's deep passion for the farming game genre had meant that he was just literally unapproachable as a human being. So Eric had to go at this endeavour alone as a solo developer. The good thing was this is 2012 and Eric took a different approach to marketing his game. Not only did he announce it when he hadn't even started working on it, which is bonkers considering it probably won't even look like that, he mixed the trailer on a YouTube channel with his own weird personal fetish stuff. What an utter madman. But on March the 6th, 2012, a groundbreaking announcement took the world by storm as it unveiled something completely unexpected and transformative, shaking the foundations of conventional wisdom and setting the stage for a new era that was to come. Oh man, all my dates are all mixed up. I mean, September the 1st, 2012. Simply titled Stardew Valley Trailer. Little did he know the actual impact this game would have. Oh, and he released it on Steam Greenlight, which was a platform for indie developers so they could basically get their game on Steam and to stop the absolute stream of garbageware Chinese sex simulators that Steam is now. Which has now been replaced with Steam Direct, and both of them just suck. Eric was just super keen to show what he'd been working on. He wanted to show that he'd been learning with the game's development to show his own development. Maybe as a reminder of like where he had started and to further push himself to finish it. He also made the game in C#, which is a much lower level language compared to D# or E#. Boomer humor! We could actively see the progress when each of those videos came out that would show him adding new features and refining aspects of the game, like chopping down trees, adding animals, and season cycles. Eric's strategy for developing his farming game stood out as a breath of fresh air in an industry typically shrouded in secrecy. Unlike most of the developers who shield their projects from public view until completion, Eric chose a more transparent path, showcasing the game in its raw, unpolished state, revealing both its imperfections and evolving features. This open book approach allowed him to actively engage with his audience, inviting feedback on everything from missing elements to the design of the animals. Eric was able to make swift, responsive changes, effectively co-creating the game with his community and reshaping it according to their tastes and preferences on the fly. People don't like the look of the animals? What animals? You don't like the UI? Me neither, it was never there. Ingenious enough, with each upload and Reddit post, we weren't just getting invested in Stardew, we were getting invested in the story of Eric. He eventually reached out to Chucklefish, who was an extremely fresh game publisher, who focused mainly on indie titles and helping other teams develop games under their name, just to help produce the game. If you're wondering why it no longer says their name under Steam, there was a bit of a controversy about mistreating their employees in 2018. Eric eventually split with them in the same year though. But for now, he's working with the devil. There was struggles, of course, of being like a one-man band for the entirety of 4 years. His relationships out of the game were deteriorating because of the time and dedication required from all this all-consuming game. And at the end of the day, we're our own worst critics. Could you imagine 5 or 6 different jobs? An artist, a musician, a programmer, a planner, a marketer, and then opening up that to public criticism while you're trying to develop something new, your own vision that no one can actually see. Each one of them has a million things that you can critique, and it's hard to be good at all of them. Oh, the music isn't good. Oh, the programming is clunky. Oh, the UI looks like crap. Pack all that anxiety into one person, and what you get is a borderline psycho or a nervous wreck who can never live up to the expectations. But there was one thing that kept Eric going on his journey of fulfilling his dream and spreading the cozy feel-good game to the world. Crack cocaine? Heroin? Any myriad of drugs? Well, we can only guess, but Eric has stated the drive working on his own projects and pushing to complete it for his own satisfaction kept him at that desk to see it through it, and maybe some hard drugs? I mean, it's 50-50, it's anyone's guess, really. Working crazy hours, and he finally released it to the general public in 2014. Eric released to worldwide fervor, and then shortly after that, 2 years later, he kind of made Stardew Valley. Yay, I guess? We all know the success Stardew is today, 20 to 25 million in 2023. But on to my last part of the video. Why is it so fucking good? Why is Stardew everyone's first foray into the jobless feel-good games? Why didn't Harvest Moon succeed with the special sauce that they created? Let's jump into the ball pit and wriggle around till we find a point to all this. Why has Stardew propelled ahead of every other jobless feel-good cozy game? And why is it so hard to replicate? This bit is going to be quite a deep dive, so just hang on. Number 1? Aw, community. It's you guys. The community was made for Stardew, by Stardew, Harvest Moon, Rune Factory, Barbie Horse Adventure, Star Wars Masters of Terras Cassie, and the plethora of other farming game fans. Harvest Moon had planted a tree that it was too old to enjoy its shade, and it put the proverbial feelers out just to see if this was something that had a community that can be built out of, but Stardew is the superseded version of that. And most of this can be largely due to Eric's direct engagement with the community. I believe this is the most important factor in building a loyal fanbase for Stardew Valley. By sharing his progress, his challenges, his achievements through videos, Reddit posts, Baron not only promoted his game but also offered a transparent look into the life of an indie game developer. This approach helped in humanizing the development process, making Baron's story an integral part of Stardew Valley's appeal. His openness and willingness to communicate with his fans contributed significantly to the game's popularity and the community's deep appreciation of his work. Like I said before, we were getting invested in the development of Eric and not just the development of Stardew. I put thousands and thousands of hours into realistic CBT pixel art just to get better at it. Some days I'd be like, that's not enough pixelated leather. Some days you'd search into Stack Overflow, how can I make the smell of sweat in a game? And some days I'd spend just making pixelated ball gags. It's a process. You realize what you thought is good isn't and you improve on it. That's an endless cycle. The relationship between Stardew Valley and its community is far from a one-sided affair. Eric Baron actively promotes and supports the community's contributions, which include a plethora of mods, tips, farm designs and shared experiences. This level of interaction goes beyond typical developer engagement. By recognizing and highlighting the creativity and efforts of the game's players, Baron not only fosters a strong sense of community, but also significantly enriches the overall gaming experience. This reciprocal relationship has helped Stardew Valley evolve continuously, keeping the game fresh and engaging for both new and long-time players. Contrasting this with something like the League of Legends or Warcraft community, the only thing that they contribute to the community is more vitriol, the Bill Cosby rooms, or even stolen breast milk memes. The game can boast that it also has multiplayer, so you can work together with your friends, family, or even a random bum on the street to help bring your dream farm alive together. It's about building connections, and let's be real, not many jobless feel-good games can boast that feature. How can we talk about the community without talking about the unending list of mods? I'm gonna add this as its own section later on. Simplicity and design. This concept resonates naturally with most people. There is like an intrinsic enjoyment found in the game's aesthetic, and interestingly, many find it hard to articulate why this is so. Yet the appeal remains widely understood and felt. That's a great indicator to if you've succeeded in simplicity. But hopefully I can do a good job of explaining my own idea of how it manages it, because we all interpret it differently. Its design is cute and charming pixel art style that awakens the jaded nostalgia bug inside of people that's reminiscent of the classic games like Harvest Moon, yet it possesses a timeless quality that appeals to both the retro enthusiasts and to the modern gamers. At its very crux, the game's pixel art style offers a quaint storybook-like charm that resonates with a sense of warmth and familiarity. This aesthetic choice is not merely about nostalgia, it speaks to a broader design philosophy that values clarity and accessibility. Every element from the vibrant landscapes to the distinct character sprites is crafted to be visually pleasing yet functionally clear, ensuring players can navigate and interact with the game world effortlessly. It doesn't try to be some sort of avant-garde surrealism exploration into liminal spaces and what feeling it evokes and the importance of it on furthering humanity. It's an art form in itself. The game's mechanics reflect this same ethos of simplicity. Activities like planting crops, tending to animals, and forging relationships with townfolks are designed to be intuitive and allowing the players to quickly grasp the basics while gradually scratching off the layers of complexity in depth. This approach basically means that the game remains accessible to newcomers without sacrificing the rich, engaging experience sought by more jaded boomer gamers. Farming, fishing, mining, and interacting with the NPCs are executed in a way that feels rewarding yet relaxing. This elegant dance of simplicity, combined with a soothing soundtrack and a peaceful rural setting, creates a tranquil, engaging world that players can lose themselves in for hours. Stardew stands as a testament to the power of minimalistic design in creating an immersive and enduring gaming experience. Moreover, Stardew Valley demonstrates a mastery of pacing and progression. The game unfolds in a way that feels organic and unhurried, inviting players to explore and grow at their own pace. Want to focus on fishing and being a crusty Louisiana shrimper? Go for it! You want to imagine yourself part of a global bean cooperative? Make it happen! You want to traffic children and run a sweat shop? Speak less fam. This gentle progression is a key aspect of the game's design, ensuring that it remains a soothing refuge from the often frantic and demanding nature of everyday life. You can engage with Stardew Valley today or revisit it in 20-30 years, and the experience remains timeless. People of all ages continue to connect and appreciate the game in the same profound way, in the same way that people can do with the original Harvest Moon. The level of depth in the game is not matched by any other farming simulator. If you want to live as an ugly cat lady that has zero relationships, and the only being that can fathom to live with you is an abstract sewer monster named Krobus, eating trash can tacos while your farm's exploits are seashells, why the fuck not? If you want to bring your own real life into the game, who am I to stop you? And if you want more or have an idea to, well, you can make that into a reality if you can... mod! The modding scene in Stardew Valley has been a cornerstone in the game's enduring success and appeal. This vibrant and innovative community has taken the already rich canvas of the game and added even more colour and depth. Mods range from like a simple quality of life improvements like better inventory management, better sprinklers, more gifts to more significant alterations such as new characters, storyline, and even entirely redesigned maps. These modifications allow players to tailor the game to their own personal preferences, keeping the experience fresh and exciting. Moreover, the modding scene has acted as a feedback loop for the game's development, with some of the most popular mods inspiring official updates. This synergy between the community and the game's creator has not only extended the lifespan of Stardew Valley, but has also set it apart as a shining example of how player creativity and developer support can coexist together and elevate a game to its new heights. Most of the other farming game genres don't even compare to the level Stardew has. As of today, using only like Nexus mods, Stardew has nearly 14,000 mods. If you even think about it, each single one of those mods, someone has to program it. It is the 7th on the total highest amount of mods contributed to one game on Nexus Mods. And Nexus Mods has over 4,000 games on it. And this indie delight had so many passionate people dedicating their own time to help people experience the game better. Okay, the types of mods I like to install are 1. Mods that allow you to give gifts to monsters that shouldn't receive gifts, but I still don't give them the gifts so that I can feel the social anxiety of expectation when it's their birthday to never show my face around them again. And how can you gift someone who has it all? Number 2, ones that turn the villagers into straws. Number 3, ones that turn all the bachelors into rideable horses. The pioneers used to ride these babies for miles. Number 4, adding mods that let you create a control state like 1984 or China, knowing where all your villagers are at every step. Number 5, at the start of the game, your grandpa, instead of cashing out his life insurance, decides to give you more work on his farm. The only way that you can repay him for this life of servitude that has been forced onto you is to mess with his deathbed like so. Or you can just choose to not give him one at all, you absolute sicko. Add all that and that's all you pretty much need to create your own island of Dr. Mariotto and get the full experience of Stardew. But if that doesn't convince you that Stardew is the ultimate farming game simulator W and why it hits different. Wait, we're at 7 now? What happened to the rest? The numbering system is too slow, now it's time to speed it up. The accessibility and foldability of Stardew Valley play a crucial role in its widespread popularity and success. This aspect of the game is twofold, encompassing both the range of platforms it's available on and its reasonable pricing strategy. Firstly, the game is available across multiple platforms, and that significantly broadens the reach. By releasing Stardew Valley on all of these fuckers, the developers have created this wide net to ensure that the game is accessible to a vast audience. This multi-platform approach caters to the different preferences and lifestyles. You like to play these games on the go, on the couch, on an airplane, or even at an unforgettable Christmas dinner with your uncle who's still professing he never stopped loving your mother and your dad is a second choice. We've got you covered. Secondly, the game's pricing is a pivotal aspect of its accessibility. Priced more affordably than many of the big budget titles, Stardew Valley offers substantial value. This pricing strategy makes it an attractive option for gamers who are cautious about their spending, including younger players, students, or even those on a tight budget. The game's one-time purchase model of originally £10.99, without any hidden costs or pay-to-win mechanics, ensures that players have a complete and fair experience regardless of how much they afford to spend. This combination of wide platform availability and affordable pricing lowers the barriers to entry for many potential players. It opens up the game to a broader audience, including those who might not have typically engaged with more expensive or platform-specific titles. This broad accessibility not only contributes to the game's high sales and popularity, but it also fosters a diverse and inclusive community around it. That's not to say that all the platforms went smoothly, but there are a myriad of issues that still plague them, like performance issues, translating it in different control schemes, translating different screen sizes, developing different patches for each of the platforms, and even cross-platform play across multiple consoles. Platforms. If you look at all the other farming game competitors, it's usually only available on Nintendo's consoles. And if you know anything about Nintendo, you are their ATM. Nintendo sales are like tins of food in Africa. Not everyone gets one. Paying $60 for a game that when you're done, you're done. There's no modding, no demos, no refunds. That's what you get. And if you don't like it, tough shit, because that's the rules we made. It's hard to get invested in a niche genre or to bring people into it if there's no incentive, even if it doesn't work out. Eric's own story and doing it all as a solo developer. Our fascination with Eric Barone's story extends beyond the allure of his creation, Stardew Valley. It is also a deep interest in his own personal narrative and his evolution as a creator. His story isn't just about a successful game, it's a tale about individual perseverance, creativity, and the transformative power of passion projects. Barone's path is marked by self-taught skills and solitary dedication. Not only reshaped his professional life, but also inspired a community of gamers and developers. This narrative is as captivating and enriching as the pixelated world he crafted, offering a unique glimpse into the heart and mind of an indie game developer whose work transcended the bounds of a mere product to become a source of inspiration and admiration. He also got a job working with the general public as an usher to help finance himself. This just shows how much he was dedicated to making Stardew Valley a reality.
I will never give up, no matter what. It doesn't matter. If the Stardew Valley failed, I'm going to make another game. I'm going to learn what I'm going to take what I learned, I'm going to make an even better game. If that doesn't work, I'm going to make another game. I will never give up,
Developing for multiple platforms introduces technical challenges. Ensuring a smooth experience on various devices and dealing with platform-specific issues can be demanding, especially for a solo developer. Barone's story is often cited as a remarkable example of successful, independent game development, demonstrating the potential of individual passion and hard work in the gaming industry. And he's even met Wada!
I'm sitting down with Eric Barone, creator of Stardew Valley, and Yasuhiro Wada, creator of the Harvest Moon series. How are you guys doing?
Eric's ongoing commitment to updating and refining Stardew Valley post-release stands as a significant aspect to the game's enduring appeal. He has not only consistently introduced new content and features, but he has also frequently based these updates on feedback from the game's passionate community. This level of engagement demonstrates a rare and commendable dedication to his creation and its players. Barone's responsiveness to community suggestions and concerns has helped to foster a deep connection between the developer and the player base. Contributing to a living, evolving game world, his approach goes beyond the typical post-launch maintenance. It reflects a genuine investment in the game's quality and in the experiences of those who play it. This relationship between Barone and the Stardew Valley community is a key human factor in the game's sustained popularity, and a trend that we can only hope that will continue, as we only receive the scraps that fall from the table of the AAA games that we pay £40, £50, £60 for every game that comes out. Also, Pelican Town is also based on Eric's own town of Auburn in Seattle. This similarity also lends an intriguing, almost otherworldly quality to the town, as if it's slightly disconnected from reality evoking a sense of the uncanny valley. But ultimately,
you do the thing, and you do it right, and you don't fuck it up, it works. It just works.
bits that are important and I liked, but I wanted to keep it short. Number one, the unpleasant contexts of people's lives and stories that also mirror real life in the game. Number two, the dialogue of convenience over communal living and how maybe 7-Eleven isn't all that bad. Number three, how you can become the trash can connoisseur, dining out at all the finest trash cans in Pelican Town. Number four, getting a gift and then immediately repackaging it to another person, maximizing the social status in the gift-giving hierarchy. And also, ultimately, both of the games are not just farming simulators, they're life simulators. No, but actually Harvest Moon and Stardew Valley aren't just games. They're lifestyle choices for the wannabe virtual farmer in all of us. Many people, perhaps even some of you, find themselves lost in the thoughts of what ifs, fixated on the ideas of perfection, yet it's important to remember that perfection is not a destination, but a journey. A process that unfolds over time. Just like turning over the soil for a new season, gaming too has its cycles of rebirth, as seen in the revival of the farming genre. The legacy of Harvest Moon isn't just in its gameplay, it's a chapter in the storybook of gaming history. Maybe someday we can witness the comeback swing of Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons, but for now I think Stardew Valley is more than necessary for a long, long time. And at this point, the kingdoms of Natsume, Marvelous Inc. and Concerned Apes continued to battle in the fields of the jobless feel-good game genre till this day. A segue into our creamy rating. What is this? A call, a beacon, an obligation from the ancients of destiny, selected by the deities of decadence, each element blending with the next like the smoothest, richest cream, embodying a homely touch that stirs nostalgia with every taste. In its creation, we witness the art of creamy perfection, so irresistible that I find myself guarding the entire bowl, ready to fight off anyone who dares approach, and I fight the first man who comes with a pointed stick. Who comes at me, who approaches me with a stick, not someone who, yeah, you know.
Oh, hey, you're at the end of the video as well, huh? I thought I was going to be pretty lonely here, so thanks for sticking around. I guess that means a lot.
What?
Stay on the fucking script.
Oh, I've got a script. If you loved this journey from Harvest Moon to Stardew Valley, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Also, why don't you just check out this video that we made together? It's about Tekken, it's pretty awesome. Let me know what your favorite Harvest Moon or Stardew Valley memory was in the comments below. And until next time, stay creamy, boys and girls.